Hello and welcome to Room 9, our region's largest classroom. My name is Mrs. Stobbs and I teach kindergarten in the Maplewood-Richmond Heights School District right here in St. Louis. Today I will be teaching a science lesson to preschool and kindergartners, but learners of all ages are welcome to join us. So let's get ready. Are you guys ready to have some fun with science? It's one of my favorite subjects. All right, then let's get going. Okay, so today we're just going to talk about scientists. Who are scientists? What do they do? Can you close your eyes? Close your eyes. I can see you. I'm gonna peek. Okay, close your eyes. And I want you to picture a scientist in your brain. What does the scientist look like? Is the scientist a boy? Is the scientist a girl? What is the scientist wearing? What is the scientist doing? Keep your eyes closed until you have a good picture of a scientist in your brain. Whenever you have a good picture of a scientist in your brain, open up your eyes and give me a thumbs up. All right, let's see. Ooh, I see lots of thumbs up. All right, so I think we're ready to move on. So what did you picture whenever you pictured your scientist in your brain? I know what I pictured, but I want to know what you pictured. Did you happen to picture somebody that looks like this? Woohoo! That is a mad scientist. You can tell with his crazy hair, his crazy eyes. He's holding a test tube with chemicals. Sometimes I know kindergartners and preschoolers call them potions, but in science we call them either chemicals or lab samples. And he looks like he's going to maybe think of a big plan, maybe to destroy the world. And that's what a lot of people think of whenever they think of a scientist. Is that true? No, this is not a true picture. There are some true things because there are scientists who wear lab coats and they wear their gloves and goggles and they do work with chemicals, but usually they're not mad scientists. I have another cartoon, and this one shows a little bit more of maybe what you might have pictured or what a lot of people picture when they think of a scientist. They think of, again, someone, a man in a lab coat, mixing chemicals together, and maybe they have some equations on the chalkboard behind them. But you know what? Neither of these pictures are true, really. There are true parts about them, but scientists can look very different than that. So do you want to see some pictures of some real scientists in action? And we're going to look at what they look like, what their clothes are like, and what they're doing. Okay, so let's get ready. So I'm going to show you a few together first. I'm going to show you this one, and then this one. And how are these like the cartoon pictures we just saw? These are scientists who are in a laboratory and they are wearing lab coats, they are wearing gloves, they are wearing goggles, they are mixing chemicals, or they're working with lab samples. So it's true that sometimes scientists do that. They sometimes do work in a laboratory. So I'm going to put these two pictures and all the rest of the pictures on our chart paper that says scientist, and then we'll look at all of them at the end. So I'm going to see if I can fit them all up here. So we'll put these two up first. And let's keep on going. Okay, I have two more scientists working in a laboratory. What do you notice? I see that this man, he is working again with chemicals. He's wearing gloves, he's wearing a lab coat, he's wearing goggles. But this woman, she's wearing a lab coat, she's wearing gloves, she's not wearing goggles, but it's because she's looking at something. What is this tool that she's using? Do you know what that's called? It's called a microscope. And a microscope takes teeny tiny things and makes them look much bigger so we can see them. So maybe we can look at germs. We could look at cells in our body, and scientists can look at them more closely so they can actually see what's going on, which is kind of cool. So these two scientists are doing different jobs, but they're both scientists, and they all are wearing lab coats, they're wearing gloves, and a lot of the ones up here, and this man right here, this scientist, they are wearing goggles. So I'm going to put these up here too. All right, let's keep on going. You ready? Okay, so I'm going to show you another one. Do you think that's a scientist? I don't see a lab coat. I don't see goggles. Well, I do see gloves, I guess, but they're different types of gloves. And she's not in a laboratory. This is a type of scientist, and I think one of our papers just fell off. I'll stick it back up in a minute. This is a type of scientist. This is called a biologist. She's a biologist, and biologists study plants and animals. And it looks like she's studying a snapping turtle. Snap. And these scientists, do you think it would be a good idea for her to wear a lab coat as she's walking through the woods and walking through swamps to try to find turtles? No, her pockets would get full of water. It would get dragged through the water. It would get so dirty. So she doesn't wear that. That's not a special thing that she needs. Instead, she wears waders that help her from getting too wet. So scientists sometimes wear waders. Sometimes they don't wear lab coats. So let's put this biologist, this scientist, on our board too. And I'll pick up the other one too. All right. Stick up there. Okay, let's keep on going. What do you notice about these scientists? There are 3 scientists together. Are they wearing any special type of clothing? No, it looks like they're wearing clothing just like I am, or maybe like you are, or your parents are. And so they don't have to wear a special type of clothing. These scientists are called engineers. And engineers design and build things to solve problems. And it looks like these 3 are using a computer to help them design some sort of vehicle. And because it's not a dangerous thing right now, what they're doing, they don't have to wear special clothing. Now, if they were really working on this car or this vehicle, they might wear gloves or some protective eyewear, but right now they don't need it because they're working on a computer. But that is important science work too, is working on a computer. So scientists don't have to wear any sort of special clothing. They can just wear their regular clothing. So let's put these guys on our scientist board too. All right, let's keep on going. Ooh, this is a scientist that a lot of you probably know about. And if you love dinosaurs, this might be a job that you would love to have whenever you grow up. Do you know what this is? This is a paleontologist. And a paleontologist uncovers dinosaur bones. So they dig through the dirt, they crack through rocks, and they find fossils. It might be dinosaur bones or it might be another type of fossil. But you can see he's not wearing a special type of lab coat either. Sometimes he might, but right now whenever he's out in the rocks in the sand, he has a hat to protect himself from getting sunburned. He has clothing that he can get dirty. You can even see his shirt's kind of dirty, but he is using special tools. So scientists sometimes need special tools, but they don't need the special clothing. But you can see, just like our biologist who is out in the woods catching snapping turtles, this scientist, this paleontologist, is out in the world and he's digging up fossils. Because that's where you find them. You don't find them in a laboratory, you find them out in the world. So let's stick this guy on our chart too. Okay, ooh, this one's really neat too. This type of scientist often works with a paleontologist. This is a geologist, and a geologist studies rocks. And sometimes they have to, like I said, they have to work with paleontologists because whenever they're learning about rocks or digging through rocks, they might find some fossils. But geologists, they study big rocks, they study small rocks, and they learn all about the world because our world, our Earth, has a lot of rock on it. And so they have to study them. So that's something that you have to do. That's something that you could do if you love rocks. And I see that she's wearing a hard hat to protect her, just in case any rocks fall on her. But I don't see a lab coat. Again, she's out in the world. She's out in the field, that's what they call it, to find really cool rocks. So let's keep on going. So look at these scientists that we have. Some are in lab coats, some are in different clothing, and they all are different. We have men, we have women, we have people of different races and different colored skin. Anyone can be a scientist. All right. This is a scientist too. And this scientist is called a meteorologist. And meteorologists study the weather, they study maps, and they try to predict the type of weather that we're going to have. So if you've ever asked your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, your grown-up that you live with, if you can go to the park, maybe they might say, let me check the weather to see if it's a good day to go outside and play outside. And they might check it on their phone, they might listen to a weather report on the radio or on the TV, and then they hear from the weather people what the weather is going to be like. And a meteorologist studied the weather and it figured out what the weather was going to be. Now, they're not always right because weather is really tricky to solve, but they try their best and they've learned all they can about weather to make good decisions to try to help you know how to get dressed for the day. If you should wear a sweater, if you should wear rain boots, if you should wear shorts, whatever you should wear for the weather. So let's put her, this scientist, this meteorologist, on our chart too. All right, we have another one who has a very special type of outfit. And this is a very cool, I mean, all of these are really cool. This one's really, really cool to a type of scientist. What is her job? What type of scientist do you think she is? This is an astronaut. And an astronaut goes where? Into space. And they study space. Or sometimes they study people that are in space. Or maybe they try to grow plants in space. They try to study different things, how life is affected by space, because out in outer space is very different than on Earth. So this is a type of scientist. And do you think she has to have very special tools for her job? Oh my goodness, yes. She even has to bring her own air. Just like scientists, marine biologists, they study the ocean. They have to bring their own air too because they're going underwater. So scientists have a lot of really cool tools that help them do their job. And it's not always something that's in a laboratory. So let's put our scientist, or our astronaut, on our scientist chart. All right, I have one more. And that doesn't mean this is not all the scientists that there are. There are so many types of scientist jobs. But I just have one more to talk about today. And I bet it's one that you see all the time. I bet you go to see this scientist a few times a year. Do you have any guesses? It's a scientist that works with human bodies and they help humans feel better. Who is it? It's a doctor. Doctors are scientists. Did you know that? They have to learn a lot about how our bodies work to figure out how to help us. And so if you want to become a doctor whenever you grow up, you have to take a lot of science classes so that you're ready to help people feel better. So a doctor is a scientist too. I'll add her to our chart. Right, so we saw, and you can kind of see, I'll move this over a little bit. We saw that scientists come in all types of people can be scientists. Boys can be scientists, girls can be scientists, people of all races and colors can be scientists. Anyone can be a scientist. But all of these jobs, all of these scientists have to do some of the same things. Their jobs can be very different, but all scientists do a few certain things. Are you ready to learn what scientists do, what all scientists do? You ready? I can't hear you. All right, you ready? Okay, let's see. So, scientists have very important jobs, and their main job, what they want to do, is to learn about something to help the world. That's what most scientists want to do. They want to figure out how to make the world a safer, a cleaner, a better place. And to do that, they do 4 things. And we're going to learn about those 4 things. So the first thing that scientists do, they ask questions. They ask questions. They might say, I wonder why the leaves are turning yellow on that tree. That's a question that a scientist might ask. Okay, so that's number 1. They ask questions. Number 2, after they ask that question, they learn all they can through reading, through observing, through testing. Maybe they're mixing chemicals together, but they might do a different type of test. Or talking to other experts. They might talk to other scientists that are already studying it. Okay, so scientists, they ask questions. They learn all they can through reading, through observing, through testing, and through talking to experts. Then after that, after they learn, or while they learn, they record their information. That means they write it down. They might write down words, they might draw pictures, they might do math problems, but they record what they've learned through their observations, through their tests, through their reading, or through talking to experts. After they've learned all they can and they've written it down, then you know what they do? They share with the world what they've learned. Now, they might not sing like that. I wish everything was a musical, and I wish scientists would come out and say, I found a new bird in South America. But they don't. Usually the way that they share what they learned with other people is they type it, and they write a report, and then they send it to a magazine or something like that. But sometimes they might stand up and give a speech and say, this is what we've learned about this topic, but they usually don't add a little song and dance to it. That's Mrs. Stobbs adding it. If I was a scientist like that, I would come out to the world and sing my report. All right, so can you guys help me do that again? Can you do the motions with me? So scientists, what they do, they, remember the first one? They ask questions. Can you make a question? Shrug your shoulders, or maybe you want to scratch your head. They ask a question. Then they learn all they can through reading, through observing, through testing or experimenting, or by talking to experts. Okay, after they've done that, what do they do after they've learned? They record their information. So pretend you have a notebook and you're recording your information. You might draw a picture, draw a flower if you're learning about flowers, okay? And then they share what they learned with the world. All right, good job. Okay, but wait a minute. You know what I was just thinking as we were doing those fun motions? I was thinking, I think that kids do all of those things too. Do you think you do those things? Well, let's go back. The first thing that scientists do, they ask questions. Do you ask questions? I bet you do. I teach kindergarten, and I know kindergartners have so many questions. Have you ever asked so many questions that your grown-up that you live with says, no more questions, I don't know the answers to them? Sometimes grown-ups feel that way. Sometimes they say, oh my goodness, so many questions. Maybe you asked a question like, why is the sky blue? Why don't dogs talk like we do? Why do volcanoes explode? Those are all great questions that could lead you to find out more about the world. So scientists ask questions just like you do. So you are a scientist because you ask questions. So cool, huh? All right, well, let's keep on going because we said that kids are great at asking questions. But the next thing, number 2, scientists learn all they can through reading, through observing, through testing, and by talking to experts. Do kids do those things? I think you probably do. If you love something, like maybe you're really interested in dinosaurs, do you read lots of books about dinosaurs? Or maybe you watch a movie about dinosaurs, or you look up information on the internet about dinosaurs? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Or about whatever you're interested in. Okay? So you are learning through reading. If you're interested in flowers, have you ever gone on a walk and looked at all the flowers and maybe picked some flowers and brought them home and compared them and said, this one's purple and this one's blue. This one has 5 petals. This one has 7 petals. That's observing. That's observing. So if you've done that in any way, if you've ever looked closely at something, you're being like a scientist. Okay, the next one. Scientists test things out. They learn by testing. Have you ever done an experiment at home? Or maybe if you haven't done an experiment, have you ever had a toy that's broken and you had to figure out how to put it back together again? That's being a scientist too. That's running a test, is whenever you try to get something to work and maybe it doesn't work right away and you have to keep on having to go back and trying to fix it again. So if you've done that, you are like a scientist. And then the last one, I said that scientists learn from reading, from observing, from testing, or by talking to experts. If you love animals, have you ever gone to the zoo? And either you've just observed the animals, that could be something that you do, but maybe you've talked to a zookeeper before, or you've gone to a class at the zoo, or you've talked to someone else who knows a lot about animals. That is being like a scientist. Scientists learn from other scientists. So, oh my goodness. So you ask questions like a scientist, and then you learn all you can, just like a scientist. Okay, number 3, this one. They record their information. Do you do that? Have you ever maybe gone on a walk or sat in your backyard or your front yard and you've just drawn what you've seen? Or maybe even in your house, you've looked at different things and you've drawn pictures of them. Maybe you've looked at your pet puppy dog and you've drawn a picture of your pet puppy dog. That is like being a scientist. Oh my goodness, 3 out of 4 you've done. You ask questions, you learn all you can, and you record your information. And the last one, number 4, this is that fun one. They share what they learned. Have you, after you found out something really cool about something that you love, do you go to someone and you tell them, wait, let me tell you something that I learned. I learned something really cool today. and then you share what you learned. Have you done that? I bet you have. So, oh my goodness, let's stop. You ask questions like a scientist. You learn everything that you can just like a scientist. You record information like a scientist, and then you share what you learned just like a scientist. So you know what, my friends? My friends, you are scientists. Let me pull this off. Oh, it's dripping a little bit, but that's okay. Oh no, they're all falling down. That's okay, I'll just put it to the side right now. You are a scientist. Can you read this with me? It says, I am a scientist. Can you say that again? I am a scientist. Let's cheer it out. Can you cheer with me? Ready? Because it's exciting to be a scientist. I'm going to move that over to the side so you can see it. I am a scientist. I am a scientist. You are a scientist. And don't let anyone tell you that you're not, because kids make great scientists. You guys are better at asking questions and learning all you can and trying new things. You're better than even grown-ups are. So kids can be amazing scientists. And I am so excited to work with you over the next few weeks to become even better scientists, because scientists still have to learn, and they learn new tricks and new tools, and they learn new things about the science world to help them become a better scientist. So my friends, I am so excited, and I want you to remember that you are a scientist. Just like all those pictures that we saw, you can be a scientist too. Okay, so let's look at some other things. We are going to become a scientist today. I mean, you already are a scientist, but we're going to become a very specific type of scientist. Let me get it off the paper. I thought my paper would stick up there, but it didn't. That's okay. We're going to become a geologist today. Do you remember what geologists study? They study rocks. So are you ready to put on your hard hat and become a geologist with me? If you are, give me, maybe you can do a rock and roll because they're about rocks. That's kind of a corny joke, but can you go, geologist? Can you say, I'm a geologist? And do your rock and roll. I'm a geologist. All right, well, let me get my rocks out and we will work together through our rock study. So hold on tight. All right, so friends, we're going to take what we learned about being a scientist and we're going to put it in practice. And today we're going to learn about geologists. You are going to become a geologist and study rocks. So put on your hard hat and let's get ready to be a scientist that learns about rocks, a geologist. So we said that scientists ask questions. I want you to look at these rocks and I want you to think about questions that you might have about these rocks. Tell your question to someone that you're sitting by. Or if you need to, shout it down the hall. The questions I have are, what are these rocks? What are their names? I also am wondering, where did these rocks come from? Also, I'm just wondering, why do rocks come in so many different colors and textures? Some are shiny, some are bumpy, some are sparkly, some are smooth. I wonder why. Well, to learn about them, we're going to observe. Okay, so we're just going to observe today, and that means that we're going to look closely. Observe does not mean that you just go like this. That's called a glance, and that is not what scientists do. They observe. They look very, very closely at the rocks. So can you observe these rocks with me and think about what you notice? I notice different colors. I notice that some are shiny, some are sparkly. So to help me observe even more closely, I'm going to sort the rocks. And sort means I'm just going to look at a property, something about the rock that describes it, and I'm going to put them in groups based on that property. So I could sort by color, I could sort by bumpy or smooth, but what I'm going to do, because I really like these shiny rocks, I'm going to sort by shiny or dull. And dull just means the opposite of shiny. It just means it's not shiny. So let's sort these rocks by shiny and dull. Can you help me? All right, so I definitely see that the black rocks are super shiny, so I'm going to put them over on this side. I also see that these flat rocks right here, they are very shiny too. I see some dull rocks over here. These are all very dull. They are not shiny. Do you see how they are not shiny? And let's see, that is a dull rock. Ooh, this one's very shiny. Very shiny. More shiny rocks. Ooh, these white rocks. At first they looked kind of dull, but whenever I see it closer in the light, they are pretty shiny. So I'm going to put them over here. Well, this rock is dull. Now these rocks right here, you know what? I don't think I can put them in the shiny pile or the dull pile because there are some parts that are shiny and some that are dull. So I see that they have some sparkles in them though, sparkles. So I'm going to make a third category right here and just say sparkly. So I changed my plan, and that's what scientists do. They can sometimes change their plan. So I have shiny, I have dull, and now I have sparkly. Okay, so we've asked a question, we've learned what we could through observation, and now we're going to record the data that we learned from our observation. So I'm going to take this rock, because I really like this rock, and I'm going to draw a picture of it in my notebook. You could do this with anything that you have at home. I just have a notebook and a pencil, so I'm just going to use that today. But if you have markers or crayons, you can use those too. So I'm going to trace around it so I can get the right shape and size. And then I see this rock has a lot of really cool speckles on it. So I'm just going to kind of make the speckles. I'm going to try to make them the right type. I see lots of little polka dots too, lots of little speckles. And again, if I had colored crayons or markers, I could make this look even better. But I'm going to go ahead and color this in like that. And then you know what? Scientists write words too. I know that you guys are still learning your letters and letter sounds, but I bet you can help me sound out some letters. So this is a sparkly rock. How do we spell sparkly? Let's just think of the first letter. Sparkly. Sparkly. Oh, I hear an S. Sparkly. This rock is also bumpy. Bumpy. So I'm going to write a B for bumpy. And then what is this? Is this a bird? No, it's a rock. So I need to write rock on this somewhere. So rock. Okay, so rock. Now this is not how you really spell rock, but is that okay for right now? It is, because kindergartners and preschoolers are still learning their letters and letter sounds. So that is a great way, and I bet a grown-up could read that writing too. So we have rock. I have my rock here, and I wrote sparkly and bumpy. All right, so now my last thing that I need to do is to share this with someone. Now I'm sharing it with you, but I also have someone else I want to share it with. I want to share it with my dog, Oliver, who you are going to get to see a lot in the next few weeks. He's right here, and isn't he the cutest little thing that you've ever seen? I think so. So I'm going to show him my paper, and I'm going to say, Oliver, I studied rocks today, and hey, look over here, buddy. I drew a picture of a rock, and it's sparkly and bumpy, and this is the rock that I drew. Do you want to sniff it? He says, ooh, that smells pretty good. So Oliver, as a scientist, would probably do something different than we would. Okay, so my friends, we did it. We were a scientist today. So this week, I want you to see if you can be a scientist in another way too. Have a great week. See you later. Bye.
Teaching in Room 9 is made possible with support of Bank of America, Dana Brown Charitable Trust, Emerson, and viewers like you.